spam the chat as well.
Yeah.
Well, I can say it right now. Please
Yeah.
don't spam the chat or the Q&A with whatever.
Yeah. Like, so please don't put like nonsense stuff in there. Use the chat only for emergencies like, oh my goodness, Charles, we can't see the video, or the screen's gone completely black, things like that. Okay. And the Q&A, like, yeah, it's totally cool to put stuff in there and be like, hey, what is your favorite blah, blah, blah. And we'll answer those sorts of things at the end. But we're going to try to keep it clean as we're going through the quiz, because we want to help people who might have some legitimate problems in that moment. Okay. All right. And the final thing we'll be using today is the poll function. And this is the tool that we'll be using to answer the questions as we're going through. So Ellie, can you pop up the first poll? Beautiful. So there's just 3 questions. And if you've not used the poll before, when there's something like this with multiple questions, you might need to scroll down. And what you're going to do is you're going to answer the first, answer the second, answer the third, and then click submit. Because if you just click the first one and then submit, it's not going to keep track of the other answers that you've put in, because it's already thought that you've voted. So we're just going to leave that up for a few minutes. So it's just asking like, who's in the room with you? So like, how old are the people going through this? Like, this is for grade 6 to 8 folks, but some folks are older, some folks are younger. How are you participating? Are you doing this at home? Are you doing this in school? And how many people are using the device with you? So it might just be you in front of a computer, tablet, whatever, but it might be, say, you might be a teacher and you have like 20 students in front of you. Everyone's doing things a little bit differently right now, I mean, with the situation going on. So we're just going to wait just a few more seconds. We're at about 80% answers. Just wait a little bit more to see if we're getting some more. All right, Ellie, that's probably good enough. We can lock that in. Thank you very much. All right, and again, not available on a recording. Okay, so participation prizes. So I'm going to explain all this. So please don't start asking questions until I explain all of it. So the way you can participate is you're going to attend the live quiz, which is what's happening right now, or you're watching the recording, which is you're doing this whenever you can, to hear the secret password. I'm going to make it so incredibly obvious when the secret password comes in. The other thing we get a lot of questions of are like, but the secret password had an exclamation point, or maybe it had like an accent, or I forgot to capitalize something. Don't worry about it. The first week, the secret password was dealing with vaccines, and it was called of or related to cows. If you just wrote cows, related to cows, or about cows, don't worry. If you put like purple hippopotamus, like that's way out there, like really, 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 really wrong, that wouldn't work. But if you're like on the right track, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. So after the quiz, you're going to fill out the online participation form with the password. If your answer is correct, you'll receive a badge and be eligible for the weekly draw. And before you start freaking out, where's the form? Where's the form? Where's the form? Well, if this is your 3rd week, you've probably already filled out the form, so you should know where that's at. And if you don't, ask the grown-up who signed you up for this. If that's a teacher, an educator, a family member, friend, whatever, whoever signed you up, the grown-up, they will have that information. And that's included on the Google Drive by Friday. You can also sort of increase your chances by attending the French quiz if you want. So we offer the English quiz 3 times a week. This is the first time we're doing it this week. But going to the English quiz 3 times, it's the exact same quiz. There's no difference, including my same lame jokes each and every time. But the French quiz is actually slightly different. So if you feel comfortable doing that, you can go to that and you'll actually double your ability to participate. But remember, if you have any questions about this stuff, please ask the grown-up who signed you up, because Elliot and Bader and Camilla are probably going to tell you the exact same thing. So remember, they have that information, they know where the form is, and they'll help you with that. And like I said, the secret password, I will make it so incredibly obvious for you when that comes up. All right. Rules for today are super, super, super simple. So you can write down your answer on the score sheet or a piece of paper or on your computer, wherever you're keeping track of stuff. Try not to open the study handbook. If you didn't read the study handbook, pro tip, take a guess. Seriously, don't worry about it. The thing to keep in mind is we're not going to give you negative points, and I'm not the type of person who makes fun of someone for getting something wrong. Don't worry about that. I want you to try. If you don't put anything in, you're absolutely going to get 0, because well, you didn't do anything. But if you take a guess, well, you took a chance and you might get a point. So give it a try. Don't worry. Don't sweat it. We want this to be fun. If you're stressing right now, take a breath. Remember, Charles is full of dumb jokes. And we're going to have some fun together today. And I'm going to trick you into learning, unfortunately. You can work in teams or individually. Again, you can do that online. If you're in a place where maybe you're in a classroom, in a group, please do so safely. Totally fine. It doesn't matter if you want to do it one-on-one or with your buddies. It's totally fine. And the other thing, just a reminder, please do not spam the Q&A or the chat, just because, as I've said before, imagine you're in class, you really got to go to the bathroom, like you are about to burst, you got your hand up like you normally would ask a question, you want to ask the teacher, and a whole bunch of people just start yelling things. That is an awful situation to be in. So just take your time, don't spam it. Let Camilla, Bader, and Elliot get back to you in just a few seconds. Okay, perfect. If we're okay to move forward, can I see some hands up, please? If we get the rules, we understand we're not spamming, we get what's going down. Perfect. Okay, so we're 440 folks. We're crossing the 150-ish mark for people getting it. Okay. All right, you can put your hands down. So a good number of us understand the rules. I hope the rest of you do, and we'll respect them. And we're going to go through, we're going to do 10 questions today for 12 points. There'll be 3 rounds, multiple choice. So there'll be a question and generally 4 possible options. You got to pick the right one, and I'll tell you how many points each one is. True or false. I'm going to put up a statement. Is when I'm saying, is that true? Is that correct? Or is that false or incorrect? It's a 50-50 chance. And the visuals will be dealing potentially with videos or images and a question related to that. And of course, the question may be in the form of a multiple choice or a true or false or something like that. And we'll be going through several categories, including STEM and context, general knowledge, multidisciplinary, careers, and reading. And of course, the reading ones, those are tied to the handbook. So hopefully you studied it, but if you didn't, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Take a guess. It's all good, man. Don't let anyone make fun of you. We're not going to be making fun of you if you get it wrong. Don't sweat it. Okay. The topic this week is biology. Oh my goodness. And it looks like Emmanuel dressed up Lexi with COVID. But I'm pretty sure Lexi's washing those little paws real well and wearing some PPE. So it's just a model, a rough little model of COVID-19. So we'll be dealing with some biology today. Okay. First round is multiple choice. This is the real deal. We're going to start now. All right. Where are we going first? We're dealing with some reading. Okay. Good thing you're doing some reading. Beast still got the book. Hasn't dropped it yet. No cheating though, Beast. Okay. So this is a sprint one. So what's going to happen in a sec is I'm going to click. We're actually going to see 1, 2, 3 questions on our screen. And as a result, the timer, which is usually 25 seconds, is actually going to be longer for 45. Okay. So Elliot, don't pop it up just yet. I'll let you know. So you're going to be answering 3 questions. So the first question is, what color does a gram-positive bacteria stain? Is it red, purple, gray, or yellow? Bonus fact, before he was blue, Beast was gray. That's not related to the question. Question 2, in which of the following examples are the molecules most spread out? Is it gram-positive, gram-negative, spiral-shaped, or spherical-shaped? And number 3, what are the 3 major shapes of bacteria? Round rod twist, round rod spiral, spherical rod twist, spherical rod spiral. So in a sec, when I ask Elliot to do so, the window is going to pop up and all 3 questions are going to be there. But remember, you want to answer 1, 2, 3, and then click submit. Because if you go 1, boom, click submit, we're only going to get the answer for 1. So you'd only be able to get 1 point. This whole question is worth 3 points, but it's not all or nothing. So if you only get 1 thing right, you get 1 point. If you get 2 of them right, you get 2 points. And if you get all 3, 3. If you get 0, so be it. Don't sweat it. So Elliot, now could you pop up that answer sheet? All right, and here we go. I'm going to start that timer. 45 seconds. So we are asking you, what color does a gram-positive bacteria stain? Number 2, in which of the following examples are the molecules most spread out? And number 3, what are the 3 major types of bacteria? So these will all be taken from the study handbook. If you're not remembering, I mean, there's a lot of information. Don't worry about it, but do give it a try. Give it a try. If you're on the fence between 2, you know, if you're working in a team, maybe someone in your team might remember it and you may not. That's totally cool. Don't worry about it. All right, so time is ticking down. Got maybe about 10-ish seconds left. All right, let's get those answers in. Just a few more seconds left. Okay, so let's lock in those answers. And Elliot, can you share the results? One thing I'll mention too, I have mentioned it in past weeks. If this is your situation, don't worry about it. I know some grownups have been like, oh no, I made a mistake. You'll notice the percentages don't add up at all. So we are at like 200 and 2%, I think, almost, whatever. On the first one, it doesn't make any sense. The reason for that, and this is what many people are doing, and totally fine if you've done it. If you are signed in as an educator, let's say, hey, Mr. Charles is signed in and has shared his link with 20 of his students. Well, that means Mr. Charles is voting 20 times, which makes some math look weird. Don't worry about it. That's the easiest way for us to share this. So don't worry. I don't care that the percentages are really, really, really weird. What I will note though is which ones are the most popular. So for the first one, what color does a gram-positive bacteria stain? It looks like most of you picked purple, and then the next most popular one was red, and then sort of a major drop off, and actually a tie between the remaining ones, gray and yellow. We'll see the answer in just a sec. So number 2, in which of the following examples are the molecules most spread out? Pretty close. Okay, so most picked spiral, and then very close for second place, gram negative, then gram positive, and then spherical shaped. And then what are the 3 major shapes of bacteria? So this one, a big difference between first and the remaining ones. So most of you picked spherical, rod, and spiral, then spherical, rod, and twist, followed by round, rod, spiral, and then round, rod, twist. My goodness, these sounds like different types of French fries almost. All right, so let's take a look at the answer to number 1. So what color does a gram-positive bacteria stain? Please give yourself 1 point if you picked purple. All right, so if you picked purple, give yourself 1 point. Number 2, in which of the following examples are the molecules most spread out? That would be gram negative. Oh, so that one was very close to the one that most people picked, which is spiral shape. So the majority of the audience didn't get this one right, but that's okay. That's okay. So gram negative, if you got that, 1 point. And then the last one, what are the 3 major shapes of bacteria? Spherical, rod, and spiral. So most of the audience picked that one. I'm just going to leave this up for a few seconds so you can tally up your score. So for 1, if you picked B or purple, that is 1 point. 2, if you picked B or gram negative, that is worth 1 point. And 3, if you pick D, so spherical, rod, or spiral, that is 1 point. And yeah, these are all dealing with bacteria classification. So like I said, the amount of points you get here is dependent on what you got correct. So it's not like, oh, I got one wrong, so I get 0. No, no, no. So it's 1 point for each. So 1 is B, 2 is B, 3 is D. Can I have hands up just to let me know that we're okay to move on to question 2? So make sure we got a good amount of people. So I'm just gonna wait a sec. All right. Okay, we got like 150, so 300 of you aren't answering. Just want to make sure, because I am going to move forward. Are any major questions coming in, Elliot, about this or nothing? Okay. Okay, you can put your hands down. I am going to move forward. If we have to come back to this, we'll do that. But yeah, the reason I'm asking if you're okay to move forward is I don't want to leave anyone in the dust. Unfortunately, 300 of you didn't answer. That's okay. I just wanted to get a majority, but hopefully that just means you can't find the raise hand button, but we will move forward. All right, so question number 2. Where are we going next? All right, so STEM in context. So SARS-CoV-2, commonly known as COVID-19, I wonder if that's been in the news at all lately. Yes, of course. Is what type of virus? Is it helical, enveloped, polyhedral, or complex? All right. So Elliot, can you pop up the answer sheet for number 2, please? So this is now a 25-second timer. I will start that timer. So SARS-CoV-2, commonly known as COVID-19, is what type of virus? Helical, enveloped, polyhedral, or complex? Don't forget to wash your hands, Beast, please, after you read that book, just to be safe. If you got it from the library, some other people might have touched it. All right, just a few seconds left. I have some polyhedral dice because I'm a big geek and I like playing board games and stuff. All right, let's lock in those answers. All right. Elliot, can you lock those in, please? All right, and just share the result. Okay, so it looks like the bulk of you, so SARS-CoV-2, commonly known as COVID-19, is what type of virus, went with polyhedral, and then it looks like complex, and then enveloped, and then helical. So let's take a look at the answer. Whoops, sorry, that was my mistake. The correct answer is enveloped. So the majority of the audience did not get this one right. So that's okay, it happens. So please give yourself 1 point if you picked enveloped. All right, let's move on to number 3. Okay. So this one, again, tied to your study manual. Which of the following is not a structure found in bacteria? Is it pili, plasmid, capsid, or cell wall? So Elliot, can you pop up question number 3 for the answering sheet there? I'm going to start that timer again. We're doing another 25-second one here. All right, the answers are coming in. So which of the following is not a structure found in bacteria? Pili, plasmid, capsid, or cell wall? So far, the answers are coming in. About 50% of you have answered. We're now moving to 60%. The answers seem to be pretty divided here. No major standout just yet. All right, just a few more seconds left. Get those answers in. All right, perfect. So let's lock those in and let's take a look. Okay, so things are kind of grouped pretty closely here. So it looks like most of you went with capsid, and then cell wall, and then very, very close is Pili, and then plasmid. So for 1 point, if you said capsid, you are correct. So yeah, most of the audience said that. Awesome. Are we getting any major questions at all, Camilla? Are we okay in the chat?
People were just missed the answer to the last question. So that was enveloped.
Yeah, enveloped. Yeah, exactly. So if you said enveloped, please make sure that you give yourself 1 point. Exactly. Perfect. Anything else critical? Are we good?
No, as a fun fact, the cell wall is only present in plant cells. So
Oh,
that's
really?
kind of, yeah. So that makes them kind of like more resistant to like water and like tougher conditions and stuff.
Interesting. So the other folks like, we don't need walls. It's cool. We're okay just being in the open. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Camilla. Thank you very much. All right. So this one, yeah. So just I was make sure that you got this one because I guess some folks didn't get the last one. Last one was enveloped. This one is capsid. So C, 1 point for which of the following is not a structure found in bacteria. All right. Let's take a look at what the next category is. So this one will be a video question. So I'm going to play the video in a sec. If you don't hear what Irene Okeke is saying from Bayer Inc., totally fine. You can, if you can't hear it, perfect. But in case you somehow miss it or the volume's not too great for you, I'm actually going to show you the question on the next slide. So I'm going to mute myself, and I'll just ask that my colleagues also are on mute. And I'm going to start playing this.
Hi, I'm Irene Okeke, and I am a Quality Assurance Project Manager at Bayer Inc., located in Mississauga, Ontario. The question is, Dr. Edward Jenner developed an inoculation for what disease? A, smallpox, B, cabin fever, C, anthrax, D, polio. Good luck.
And as you just mentioned, the audio should be good on your end. The video is a little choppy. We're not too sure why. That's down here on my end, but yes. All right, let's take a look. So Irene Okeke was asking us, Dr. Edward Jenner developed an inoculation for what disease? Was it smallpox, cabin fever, anthrax, or polio? So Elliot, can you pop up that answer sheet, please? And I will start the timer. Some may remember that in the first week, actually tied to the first week's secret password, we talked about Dr. Jenner. But what did they develop an inoculation for? Was it smallpox, cabin fever, anthrax, or polio? Just a few more seconds left. All right, so let's lock in those answers and let's share the results. Bit of a blowout here. Wow, a whole bunch of you picked smallpox. Then again, another tie, a tie between anthrax and polio for second place. And then third place would go to cabin fever. So what did Dr. Edward Jenner develop an inoculation for? Give yourself 1 point if you said smallpox. Now, Camilla, earlier, for whatever reason, we were talking about cows and Dr. Jenner. Did you say you knew the name of the cow that was used?
Yes. So the cow is actually actually named Blossom.
That's a cute name for a good science helper. And you mentioned another fact that Dr. Jenner did.
Yeah. So the way that he actually tested his method was on like children. So he took like a farmer's boy and inoculated him, and he also tested it on his 11-month-old son afterwards.
So thankfully it worked, and I'm assuming he was pretty darn confident before doing that. But yeah, if you're ever doing science experiments, please don't test it on your friends and family. Please don't ever do anything like that. Awesome, thanks, Camilla.
Um,
So now is secret password time. So the key thing to remember is you're going to want to write down the words or the name in this case in red. So speaking of polio, did you know that the structure of the virus was first identified in 1958 by a team led by Rosalind Franklin? Franklin, well, she was also an early and important pioneer in DNA research. Yeah. So that's the key thing you want to remember. Rosalind Franklin. Now, if you write like a totally different name, like your name or like Albert Einstein, that's really not going to work. But I'm going to leave that up there. So Rosalind Franklin, don't write Franklin Rosalind because that would be a very, very different name. So that's what you're looking for. So yeah, when I think of polio and the polio vaccine, I immediately jump to this fellow's name of Jonas Salk, who helped create that, one of the first vaccines. But actually, it was thanks to the research of a female scientist named Rosalind Franklin that they were able to work on that stuff. So yes, in red, Rosalind Franklin. Just leave it up there for a few more seconds. Make sure you're writing that down. And again, later, when it's time to fill in your form for the secret password, you're going to want to put Rosalind Franklin. Can you just shoot your hand up when you are ready to move on? And I know that you have the password and you're good to go. All right, we're almost at 100 people. We're over 100 people. Okay, we're getting close to 200. Okay, perfect. You can put your hands down. We are going to move forward. But yes, Rosalind Franklin. I'll repeat it at the end too in case you missed it. That will be your secret password for later. All right, so the second round, true or false. Pretty easy here. So, well, okay, the questions aren't easy. What I mean is you're down to two options, a 50-50 chance. So it's not like there's four things and you got to pick one. As usual, like I said, if you don't know, don't sweat it. Just give it a try, okay? I really don't if you're stressing, I'm sorry. I don't want you to be stressed. I want you to have a good time. And again, yes, me and Beast were fooling you into learning. But like, you don't have to worry about it, man. If you're feeling stressed, try to chill out. It's all good. We're going to be having a good time doing this stuff. And like I said, if you don't know, just give it a shot. Where are we going next? We are going to reading. So is this true or is this false? Attenuated viruses used in vaccines are live and infectious. Is that true or is that false? So can we pop up the answer sheet there? All right, 25-second timer. Here we go. So attenuated viruses used in vaccines are alive and infectious. Do you think that statement is correct and therefore true? Or do you think that statement is incorrect and therefore false? What do you think? Oops, didn't mean to hit the mic there. Sorry about that. So less than 10 seconds left. Make sure you get your answers in. Just a few more seconds left. All right, so let's lock in those answers and take a look. Okay, so yes, the percentages don't make sense here, but based on the length of the bar here, the more of you picked false and less of you picked true. So attenuated viruses and vaccines are live and infectious. So let's take a look. 1 point for false. So Camilla, I just have a question for you. Like, I've heard some of my friends and even like family members be like, when I get the flu shot, they're giving me the flu. Is that true?
No, that's not true. So attenuated actually means weakened. So they give you a version of the virus that can't cause disease, but it's enough for your body to kind of recognize it. So then when you get the real virus, you can launch an immune response very quickly.
Okay, and Bader, I got a question for you. So I get the flu shot, like I try to do it every year. Sometimes I forget. And like, man, well, I guess about 12 years ago when there was H1N1, I got a shot for that. It made my arm really sore and I felt kind of for a day. Is that normal to have those kinds of reactions?
Yeah, that's completely normal. So as Camilla said, it would be like a weakened version of the virus. So like you would still feel a little bit like under the weather, but you're not really infected with the virus, not infected with an amount that will make you sick. So just a little bit so your body can be prepared for the next time you encounter that virus.
Okay, because it does kind of stink to feel that way, but it's like that shot is saying, hey, body, wake up. let's do some training. And if by chance you run into the real deal, we're going to be ready.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like how I feel, but I think I would rather feel kind of for a day than really bad for a long time.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you, Bader. Thanks, Camilla. Okay, let's move on to question number 6. Elliot, sorry, I should ask you, Elliot, do we have any major questions coming in, or we're all good?
Well, we're good to go.
Perfect. Thanks, man. All right. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, so this is a career-related one. So true or false? Immunologists are scientists that study bacteria and viruses. Is that statement true or is it false? So Elliot, can you pop up the answer sheet? And I will start that 25-second timer. So immunologists, that's a really long job title, are scientists that study bacteria and viruses. Is that true or is that false? All right, we're about to pass the halfway mark, so 10-ish seconds left. More than half of you have answered. We're approaching 70% of you answering. There's a few more seconds left. All right, so let's lock those in and share the results. Okay, so it looks like the bulk of you have said true. Immunologists do study bacteria and viruses. They're scientists that do that. And fewer of you said false. They do not study bacteria and viruses. So for 1 point, you should have said false. So this is another instance where the minority of the audience got it correct. So Camilla, what, like, my brain usually thinks this is the kind of thing they do. What do immunologists study?
Yeah, so it's kind of a tricky one. So immunologists actually study the immune system, so how we react to bacteria and viruses. Probably like a microbiologist would study bacteria and a virologist would study just like viruses by themselves.
Okay, so they're studying almost like the impact of that stuff. So they're looking at the immune system, what's going on. So they're not necessarily skipping a step, but somebody else is taking care of the before and they're kind of looking at the after sort of part. Okay,
Right.
cool. So that is not a trick question or anything like that. So give yourself 1 point for false. Thank you very, very much. All right, and can I just make sure, are we still on track, folks, to move forward? Can I get some hands up if we're good to go? We're approaching question 7. So we're now on the downward slope of the quiz. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Thank you. You can put your hands down. Don't want you to get tired. All right. Beast, how are we doing?
I like this quiz. Charles, you are hilarious.
Really? That's so kind of you. My lips did not move at all doing that. All right. Let's go to question number 7. Okay, so we're dealing with reading again from the book. True or false? All bacteria are bad. Not like, oh, I'm a bad person and I'm a bully bacteria. We just mean like, are they, negative impacts? All bacteria are bad. Elliot, can you pop up that answer sheet? And let us start the timer, 25 seconds. All right, pretty simple question. 4 words, all bacteria are bad. Is that true or is that false? Remember, the questions I'm asking are some bacteria bad, but all of them, every single one, 100% of bacteria, they're all bad. Is that true or is that false? All right, let's lock in the answer and take a look. Okay, so this one was a big blowout. Big blowout. A whole bunch of you said that statement is false, and a few said that it is true. All right, let's take a look. 1 point for false. So Bader, can you give me an example of where bacteria, like it's a good thing to have bacteria?
Yeah, so there's actually like a lot of good bacteria that can be found in milk, for example, like lactobacillus, in yogurt, in your digestive tract, helping you break down food. So yeah, like we're filled with good bacteria.
So you're saying that there's some good bacteria to make delicious things, but also
Yeah.
there's good bacteria in me to help me eat those delicious things, to break it
Yeah.
down.
Exactly.
Okay. Very, very cool. Thank you very much. I like delicious things. We've talked about cheese way too many times on these quizzes. And of course, there's bacteria there that is good for you. All right, we are now moving to the visual round. All right, where shall we go first? Let's go to a reading question. All right, so visual, because this one has a diagram. So what component of the virus is the B arrow pointing to? So you can see the B arrow. Hopefully you can see that image in front of you. it looks like it's pointing to like a bunch of little circles around something. So what is that? Is it pointing to the envelope, to the capsid, to the nucleic acid, or the spike protein? Elliot, can you pop up the answer sheet? And we will start that 25-second timer. So you can see there's A, B, and C, but we're wanting to know the B arrow in particular. Is that the envelope, the capsid, the nucleic acid, or the spike protein? So you can see it looks like 3 rows of circles, almost kind of rectangular shaped. All right, what do we think? Just a few more seconds left. The answers are coming in. All right, and boom. Let's lock it in. Let's take a look at what people are saying. Okay, so yeah, the majority of folks picked capsid. Then we drop down to nucleic acid, and very close, not too far behind, is envelope, and not too far behind that is spike protein. So the correct answer for 1 point, what is B pointing to? It is pointing to the capsid. Awesome. Bader or Camilla, can you explain what that is at all? Do you feel comfortable explaining what a capsid is? Is it like one of those wall things or no?
So the capsid is usually made of proteins, and it's essentially just a way to like contain the genetic material of the virus. So if the virus, for example, COVID has RNA as its genetic material. Some viruses have DNA, and so the protein is kind of like a layer around that genetic material.
Interesting. So just it keeps things inside, kind of like super, super simple example. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Very cool. All right. So we're going to question 9, the second last question. All right. This one is dealing with careers. Pardon me. Just a little congested today. Sorry about that. So in a sec, I'm going to play this video from Christy Thompson. She works for Amgen. So there will be a question, which you can see at the top there, that you'll answer on the next sheet that I'll show you in a sec. So the main question is, what does Christy Thompson's work, so Amgen, use as a material for creating medicines? So I'm going to mute myself so you can hear the video okay, and I'm going to play it in just a sec.
Hello, my name is Dr. Christy Thompson, and I'm a senior scientist at a large biotechnology called Amgen. I'm guessing that you're curious as to what biotechnology means and what we do. Well, biotechnology, or biotech for short, is the study of biology and applying what we learn to advance technology and make products that can help people. This can be in the fields of healthcare, agriculture, and the environment. At my work, we are trying to discover novel medicines to treat tough diseases such as asthma or cancer. What's unique about the medicines we make is that they are not made by combining chemicals together, but rather we use living cells to make the medicine. How cool is that? Now, what do scientists need to study so that they know how to make these medicines? And how did I become a scientist in the biotech field? Well, that's a complicated question, but I'll do my best to give you an answer. In short, there's not a single thing that you need to study to be a scientist in biotech, but rather scientists with different specialties work together and combine their knowledge. You could study biology, mathematics, genomics, computer science, or chemistry, for example. Myself, I began my science education studying basic biology and chemistry. In biology, I first learned the kind of things that you're learning about now, such as how plants get energy or the difference between a fruit and a vegetable. I always forget which one a tomato is. Is it a fruit or a vegetable? It's a fruit, right? In chemistry, I learned about different types of molecules, such as carbon and atoms, and how they interact. Later, I studied more specific topics in biology, called biochemistry and immunology. This gave me the chance to learn about how cells are built, how they communicate with each other, and how our body responds to and defends itself from infection. By studying different topics in science, I can then apply that knowledge to form a hypothesis and then test it in the laboratory. Hypotheses are very important because they give you a starting point for your experiments. I should warn you though, most experiments don't work, but that's okay because eventually discoveries are made and being a scientist is a great career. I'm certainly never bored, and I get to work with scientists from all around the world, and in the lab, I get to use some pretty high-tech equipment. Most days, my time is spent designing experiments, analyzing data, and communicating results to others. So don't forget the importance of communication and writing skills. You may make the most brilliant discovery in the world, but if you can't communicate your results clearly, it may go unnoticed. In closing, I would like to thank you for your attention and encourage you to try different topics of study as you continue in school. Be curious, as you never know what you may like, and you may end up surprising yourself. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Okay. So what does Christy Thompson's work use as material for creating medicines? There's a lot of information there, but they're very, very specific about this. Okay, is it chemical compounds? Is it novels? Is it biofuels? Or is it reusing living cells? All right, Elliot, can you pop up the answer sheet? All right, I'm going to start that timer. What do they use at their work to create medicines? Chemical compounds, novels, biofuels, and reusing living cells. Also, a good point that they made, I'm sure Camilla and Bader can attest to this, that hypotheses are super, super important, and you may often be wrong, which sounds kind of weird, right? Like, oh, I don't like being wrong. But if you're doing an experiment, you really don't know what's going to happen. And it's totally fine being wrong because you're learning from that. You might try something different. All right, let's lock those in. Let's take a look at the results. Okay, so most of you went to reusing cells, and then a pretty big drop to chemical compounds, followed by biofuels, followed by novels. So for 1 point, the correct answer is reusing living cells. So I wrote this question deliberately to fool some of you, and I'm going to explain something. So she actually says they don't use chemicals. They actually use living cells. And I threw biofuels in there because they mentioned there was a biochemist. And I wonder if it might fool some people. I put novels in there just to be a little bit silly because they mentioned the word novel. So what they mean here is sometimes on the news, they talk about the novel coronavirus. What they mean is it's new. So if someone said to you, they'd be using some pretty highfalutin language. But if they're like, that's a really novel idea, Charles, that doesn't mean that like that's a cool idea to write a really long book, like a sci-fi book or a romance novel or anything like that. What they mean is that's a really new and interesting idea. Imagine having a novel idea for a novel. Like that's confusing because that means you have a really good, new, interesting idea to write a book. But yeah, that's why that's there. There you go. And actually, maybe if you guys are okay answering it, Bader, you're studying this sort of stuff. What do you hope to be? Like, what do you want to do later?
So right now I'm in undergrad, so in my 3rd year in university, and what I'm trying to do is to go to med school and hopefully become a doctor.
Cool. And what about you, Camilla? So Bader, you're in the undergrad. Camilla, you're a little bit further in your path. You mentioned a master's. What are you hoping to do with this? What do you want to be when you're all done?
Yeah, good question. I'm not super sure.
Okay.
Right now I'm kind of deciding whether I want to pursue a master's or pursue a PhD. But I am like involved in like the field of research, and I'm enjoying that. So I'll probably kind of stick to that field.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you very much. Yeah. What was really neat with what Dr. Thompson was saying is like, to do this stuff, yeah, you got to be able to communicate, work in a team. There's a lot of different topics and things involved. It's not just like I'm going to study one thing forever and then boom. It's very multifaceted, to use a really, really, really big word there. All right, we are going on to the last question. Dealing with our study guide again with reading. So yes, visual question, but the style of question is true or false. The following image represents the assembly stage in the viral life cycle. So you can see the image inside the circle. There's a whole bunch of stuff, a bunch of triangles and some ellipses and some squiggles and some like hexagons and some lines like tiny ladders. That thing there, is that image representative of the assembly stage of the viral life cycle? So this is taken directly from your guide. All right, Elliot, can you pop up the answer sheet for number 10? Let's start the timer. Last question. Is that true or is that false? Is that the assembly stage in the viral life cycle that you see in front of you? It looks very confusing to me. I don't know, a lot of shapes. It's almost like modern art or something. I don't know. Maybe this isn't an art gallery. No, it is part of the viral life cycle. But is it the assembly stage? True or false? All right, let's lock in those answers. Let's take a look. Okay, so it looks like most of you, 230 of you picked true, and 155, so less there, picked false. And the correct answer for 1 point is false. All right. Camilla, what stage is that then, if that's not the assembly one?
Yeah, so this is the replication stage. So the virus is making all its different parts, and then in the assembly stage, it puts all those parts together so it can go out and affect more cells.
Oh, wow. Okay, so different stage. So it is part of the life cycle, but this is the, sorry, which stage did you say?
The replication. So it's
Replication.
repli-
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you very, very much. Alrighty, folks, that is the end, but please don't take off just yet. So what's happening happening next? Fill out your participation form. You will get that later again from the person who signed you up. The secret password is Rosalind Franklin. Rosalind Franklin is what you want to put in the secret password part. There is the design and build challenges as well that you can do, and you have until March 7th to send us your video of the biology design and build. The next one will be released this Friday. And chat with the scientists. So it'll be happening today. The recordings will be available on Friday as well. Okay. Sorry, today's Tuesday. That was yesterday. My mistake. So if you missed yesterday's session, the recording is available on Friday for you to watch. Also, they just added this for us. If you'd like to, again, this is probably more the parent, educator, family member, friend, the grown-up involved in this, you can use the hashtag LTSC2021, and you can tag us on social media if you feel like sharing. We have had some teachers taking pictures of their students, of course, from behind generally, not showing faces, things like that, if you want to show your school or your class's involvement. So again, the hashtag you want to use LTSC2021, and at Let's Talk Science on Facebook, same for Twitter, and at LT Science_PS for Instagram if you feel like doing that, and show us how you're doing. I find those neat because it might seem kind of weird. I'm in your classroom right now and you're probably talking to each other. I'm looking at a camera and I don't know if you're having a good time or not. So for me, it's really, really, really neat to see what you folks are doing. Sometimes people are bringing their own little sidekicks. Doesn't necessarily need to be beast or anything like that. So it's cool to see. And for me, it lets me know that you're having a good time, which is really, 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 really boring because I'm getting zero feedback. I don't know how things are going. So I'm happy to see that you folks are having a good time. Next week's topic is physical education. No, it is not. We are not doing laps of the schoolyard. We are going to be talking about physics. That's what we will be doing. So make sure that you take a look at that chapter in your guide. Again, if you find it's a lot, if you can safely do this, if you can safely work in a team, break that chapter up. Or maybe you're an educator wondering, man, it's a lot of material. Dedicate some of the kids to read, maybe this part of the chapter, this part of the chapter, this part of the chapter. And if you can safely work as a team, even like if that team is your entire class, whatever is easiest for you. The last thing I want to do is stress people out or make them think this stuff is way too hard. I want you to enjoy yourselves. And that's the key thing. Okie dokie. So huge thank you to Irene Okeke from Bayer Inc. and Christy Thompson from